Hey, good morning, my Do What family. I wanted to come at you today with just a little Monday motivation. We're going to keep this one quick and just a snippet that you can take with you throughout the week. A little bit of a delay this morning. We had some visitors that we needed to send off, but I want to tell you a little bit about that. Actually, I thought it was really relevant. These visitors that we had in town were coming in town actually to celebrate my daughter's sixth birthday. And so, what do 6 year olds usually want for their birthdays, right? They want to stay in a hotel. Wait, what? Yes, that's what she wanted. She wanted to stay in a hotel as her sixth birthday party. Uh, okay. I love the creativity and I love the aspect of adventure and wanting to seek an experience rather than a material item, I guess. So that's great. Completely on board with that. That's a really difficult goal though, because immediately your brain starts going everywhere. Like, well, how do you fit this into a 6 year old's desires? Um, what are they going to be looking for to consider that an accomplishment? But it was a really difficult goal that was put in front of us. But and we were just thinking that how can we make this special? How can we make this a memorable experience? And I was remembering back to a trip that we had taken to Disney at one point. Daughter was very very young at the time, our firstborn, and we brought them down to Disney World, and we were just going to be parents of the year, right? I mean, we were going to take them on this experience and show them all the rides and meet all the characters and just make it top notch. Again, our oldest at the time, she was probably 4 or 5. Uh, Complete miss, complete fail from that aspect. I mean, it was a great trip, don't get me wrong. But the highlight came from a very unexpected place. Her highlight of the entire trip was actually just pushing all the buttons in the elevator at the hotel. So, had I known that, yeah, we could have had a more budget-friendly experience for sure. But still, like I said, it was a great experience. But it just reminded me that you have to view this challenge, let's call it, from the eyes of a toddler. And so doing that really changed the bar. I won't say it set the bar lower by any means, but it just set it in a different place. But at least now we had some perspective, something to go by. In this case, it was a goal, and it was a goal set by somebody else. However, it was a goal that we chose to accept. So nonetheless, it is now a goal, and it is a goal that we're going to set out to accomplish through process, and get that sense of achievement, because that is what ultimately it's all about. Okay, it's not about achieving the goal and check the box. For instance, yesterday was the big game, right? And so now that we have a winning team, no spoilers here in case you haven't seen it, as you can get away from it. But they don't stop there. Okay, that winning team doesn't just say, "Okay, we won the Super Bowl." That's literally the pinnacle of our trade. So there's nothing left to do. We'll just sit around and play cards. No, they're going to set another goal, because it's not so much the achievement of your goal, it's the process. We are process people. That is where we as human beings get our sense of accomplishment. So in this case, although the goal was set by someone else, it's still about the process. It's something that my wife and I, had taken on, and so we were going to see it through to the end. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. So what would that goal look like? In order to set a goal, what you need to do is, again, clarity. We've discussed that before. You have a very clear aspect as to what you're trying to accomplish. But then what you're going to layer on top of that is defining the process and defining the steps of that goal. You need to have clear and measurable layers of success, so that you will one, achieve that sense of accomplishment, and two, just have some sort of guide or indicator that you're still pointed in the right direction. That periscope we spoke about previously. Okay, so in this case, applicable to this story, we had to get a hotel, right? Lots of hotels out there. What are you going to choose, et cetera, et cetera? Again, 6 year old. Okay, we're not shooting for the stars here. However, we happen to have access to some points, so we were able to choose a hotel locally that I think she would really enjoy. We had a couple of check boxes, of course. You have to make sure that there's a pool, indoor pool in this given winter. But check that box. Free breakfast, always a good thing. Check the box as long as they have cereal. Next, invite friends and family. Okay, they're going to want to share the experience, and you want others to be able to enjoy the situation as well. I mean, why not share the wealth in this case? Just share the sincere uplifting emotion of seeing this smile on a child's face. So friends and family, check. And then, of course, you have all the accoutrements of any 6-year-old birthday party. So you had the mandatory balloons and your cake and your pizza. Keep everybody fed and interested. And then lastly, icing on the cake is we called the hotel itself. Spoke with the manager. I made that call. I wanted to give them the opportunity to succeed. And that they did. So Amber and Courtyard Marriott staff, you will have a letter singing high praises coming your way. You did a phenomenal job. But again, we called the hotel just to give them the opportunity to succeed. We let them know that, hey, we have a 6-year-old coming to your establishment by request as her 6th birthday present. So they just loved the idea of that, and they really took part in making it a special occasion. So that being said, it went off with, I will say, without a hitch for the most part, and regardless, from her eyes, it was truly a success. So because of a process, because of breaking this down into measurable steps, these are the things that we want to accomplish, and then being able to just attack each one individually and get them done. It turned out to be a really good experience, an adventure along the way. Again, it's not just the accomplishment, but the process in which we all found a bit of enjoyment. So that said, I just took a huge concept. It doesn't have to be the cure for cancer or world peace. In this case, it was just a small individual goal that we needed to accomplish. We broke it down into process, and it was done. So huge check for this weekend, and this can be applied to anything, which is what I wanted to share with you. This is Monday morning, okay? View this as a little miniature January 1. This is a little miniature New Year's for the week. So again, we're not trying to change the world in a day. Set yourself a small goal for this week. Lay out the process, look at it with clarity, and break it down into measurable steps. So that said, may you go out there and accomplish something great this week.